X-Pac 12360. Featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is X-Pac 12360. I'm your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Yeah!
Hell yeah.
Feeling good. Just got a little something off my, I was going to say off my chest, but it was off something else a little bit lower than my chest. Hey, is there anything in the Me Too movement about dropping bombs on ladies?
What?
About, farting in the ladies' presence?
You should fart anyway.
Is that any kind? Is that like a form of harassment? Because if it is, I apologize.
I mean, unless she's eating, because I've had that happen to me. If I'm eating somewhere and someone just farts next to me, that's just rude for anybody in general.
Were you eating a few minutes ago?
No,
Okay.
no, but other times. But
I almost shit my pants. I swear to God. Anyways, but hey, X-Pac 12360 on Westwood One and the Jericho Network.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Episode 80, you got
Yeah.
a great guest coming.
yeah. And a little bit later on, conversation that I had with Jim Ross here in studio on Monday day after the New Japan. What was it called? Strong Style Evolved? Yeah. So we had an interesting conversation with Jim. I'm really, really grateful that he took the time to actually come in and talk with us. But we're gonna let you guys hear that and watch it in a little bit. But right now, we're gonna just kind of get into what everyone thought of the New Japan show.
Well, two of us were there.
Yeah,
Denise
two
and I
of
were
us.
both there.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I wonder what it's like to watch it on Access and hear the commentary from Jim, or even watch it on New Japan World and hear the commentary from Don and Kevin Kelly, if it gives it a different vibe or feel.
Of course it does. Of course it does. I didn't hear Don and
Kevin
Kelly's commentary. I only heard Jim and Josh's. And I know Jim, and as he talks about a little bit in the conversation later, I know he's a little sensitive about like some of the criticisms, but I enjoyed their commentary, anyways, what were we saying?
Well, were there any matches that you really liked or not so much on the entire card?
Yeah, and I think you remember I talked a little bit about that with Jim, because we do in the conversation talk a lot about the show, about the New Japan show, obviously, because it was fresh in everybody's minds. But what were we saying?
well, basically.
Sorry, I'm having a lot of brain farts already.
We're bouncing around.
It's not only kind of farts.
It's like gassy Wednesday.
Yeah.
Honestly, so sidetracking, I think what I really wanted to say for me, at least personally,
Yeah.
I think from this New Japan show to the last one that we
Yes.
went in Long Beach, I personally really enjoyed the first one a lot more.
I
I think the card was more consistent. Each match was bang, 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 good. That was just my personal opinion, but there was a lot of really great moments that I loved about this show. But I think if I had to compare and contrast both shows, I love the other show. But the venue was great too for this one.
Okay, now I want to ask you guys about this, because you were there. Was there a difference in the atmosphere? Because it seemed like the atmosphere was hotter in the first show in the smaller building. Because of how when you're in a venue like that.
They had a pyramid for a roof,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
all
exactly.
the sound was
From
going
what I
up.
understand, it was way hotter in person. That didn't translate on TV. That's what I was led to believe from the people who I talked to, because I watched it
On this
TV.
show.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Because it's just the last year tiny building, that
Low
sound
ceilings.
can't go anywhere.
Yep.
So it just seemed like it was crazy. But correct me if I'm wrong, guys. The crowd was totally.
It was hot.
they
Everyone
were.
was
But
loving it.
Yeah.
What I noticed though was that, because I sat by the stage area where I could see the entrances at an angle,
Yeah.
and I noticed that I was seeing the guys coming out, but nobody was really popping until they came out to a certain section. So it was kind of like a delayed, I guess you can say, pop for
Yeah.
certain guys, but not for all of them. Obviously, some of them there was right off the bat. But I did notice that. However, I thought that in general, because from the first show I sat ninth row, I couldn't see a lot of the matches. So. Actually being able to see today.
So you like the
see
stadium
last show.
seating
Yeah, yeah.
I like
as
the
opposed to
stadium
everyone
seating,
flat.
but the energy was different. Yes.
Yeah. I would say that last year was awesome. I would say that the high points of this show were higher than any of the high points of last year's show. Yeah. Because like nothing on either of last year's shows can touch Lovers versus Bucks, just in terms of like storytelling and everything. Two thoughts about this show: way too long, and the Switchblade versus Hangman.
Bad placement on the show.
That should not have gone second to last.
Yeah.
Everyone was
should have
dead
gone
after the
first
match
half
before
of the show.
it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the argument there, was that match was put in the death
It was
spot.
in the wrong place.
It was in the wrong place.
Like,
It
I get
did
that
a lot of great stuff.
it's the U.S. title. They introduced it last year in Long Beach. They want to make the U.S. title a big deal, and I get that. And in that respect, sure, they want to showcase it as putting it on second to last. But the crowd wasn't. They weren't going to do anything for that. And Switchblade and Hangman were out there killing each other.
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean.
It's a good match.
Yeah,
In a vacuum,
it was really
great
good.
match.
There were some. I'm not going to start nitpicking because those guys busted their ass, but there were some things they could have done in the match to have captured the people and kept them kept them in the match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they didn't. But that's just experience stuff, and I'm not going to start nitpicking. Because we don't have time for me to start.
Well,
on
I
that.
don't know if I was the only one that felt this way, and I thought the Golden Lovers Young Bucks match was great. But when I pay to see Kota Ibushi, I want to see Kota Ibushi's greatest hits. I want to see the Phoenix Splash. I want to see the double moonsault. I want to see the double 450. And we didn't get any of that.
I thought.
So I wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, like it was a great match, but I didn't think it was as good as Liger and Ospreay, especially with Ray coming in and then Ray coming back and getting his mask ripped off, and Marty hitting Ospreay with the umbrella. I was way more invested than that than I was in the main event.
I really enjoyed Liger and Ospreay.
It was good,
really good.
I think with the Lovers versus Bucks, and I talked to Kenny about this like a few days before the show, like. He believes it was way too early for this match to take place, as far as like where they're telling the story and everything. But they had such a the most emotional story I've seen since the second Michaels versus Undertaker match. Like that they packed so much emotion and storytelling and personality into this story. The story the match told such an amazing story.
Yeah.
People were crying in the building. People were crying at home that I talked to. It was so emotional, and I think the part of the problem was like since the Lovers and hadn't been together for so long, they were trying to thread the needle of like we're main eventing a show. It's the first Lovers versus Bucks match ever. We got to put all this stuff into it as far as wrestling wise, but
try to get everyone caught up to speed on the backstory there too.
But they also felt like they had to do an in-ring physical performance to match up to what people were expecting. But what they didn't, the good and bad thing is the story they were telling was so good they didn't have to do as much as they did. But then you get people like you who are like they should have done more in the ring. So like I mean I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying.
Well, and this was a weekend of wrestling, PWG on Friday,
Sure.
so there was a lot of wrestling going on.
Yeah, there was actually this tweet that Matt Jackson tweeted out, and I thought it was the perfect tweet. I loved it so much. I think it was like 2 days after. He basically tweeted that he thinks a great match should feel like you're watching a movie. And I was like, see, that's the mentality that they have going in. So I feel like with that, people may argue like, oh, the Young Bucks, all they do is spots, this and that. But if everyone has a different taste in wrestling, and I think that if you yourself think that match is as entertaining as a movie, then I totally agree with that analogy. So I kind of feel like that's their mentality going into the match, and I really enjoyed that. And I also liked how over the Golden Lovers were, compared to the Young Bucks that are super over. To have the Golden Lovers in that same, I guess you can say level. It was great. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
It's a shame Kenny broke his face all to pieces, but.
God, yeah, nice, man. Enough with the dropping everyone on dropping each other in the heads. Come on, man. We gotta cut that out. And I mentioned this on my Twitter. The bosses of the companies, not just New Japan. I'm not picking on New Japan alone. Of all the companies, they need to tell these guys to cut that shit out. And there needs to be consequences when they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because else the consequences down the road are something that people might think that they're willing to accept, but once they get there, trust me, you will not like it.
I was flinching a bunch watching that. Like there were so many Germans on the apron.
Yeah.
Hangman almost died on
it's
one
bullshit.
of those. Like it was nuts. Like,
And I get it, Bill. I get it, man. I've been there. I've been at that point in my career where you have to take these risks to get attention and get a buzz about you and recognition. But that's not going to do you any good if you can't pass a physical.
sure,
And get to the big dance you're trying to get to.
absolutely.
Did you guys notice in the main event that Coda at one point outside the ring was like, I don't know if you guys saw it was showed on TV, but in person he basically like couldn't see one of the Bucks and was just like, he kind of like bounced around like 2 different times because he kind of didn't know like where he was at. That was pretty trippy. I hadn't seen that like myself in person, and then so I don't know if you guys caught that on TV, but it looked pretty crazy.
You think he was like dazed?
Yeah, because at one point, like, I think he did like a leap off the rope. He did a leap, and then there was no one there, so then he went for it again, and there was no one there again until finally one of the Bucks noticed and was like, oh, like here I am, and like kind of like broke his fall and stuff like that. But it was kind of like for a second I was like, wait, did I miss something? Watching that was pretty intense.
I really enjoyed the opener a lot.
Roppongi 3K is great.
And Rocky's the general in that ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Frankie Kazarian.
Oh yeah, that was another moment.
It happens.
Yeah.
No, and Sho and Yo were incredible. They are such a good tag team. That was one of the things that everybody was talking about. They're like how crisp they were and just like how solid they were. It was pretty good. That was probably my second favorite match from the card.
I really enjoyed the Killer Elite Squad, and they really worked well in that situation. And when I first saw it on paper, I'm like, that's not going to go well because those guys take themselves way too serious to be able to work with Yano. I was wrong, and I was pleasantly surprised, more than pleasantly surprised. It was really, really entertaining.
For sure. And Chucky T was almost like the straight man in that whole match.
Yeah.
Which is unexpected.
Very odd.
Yeah.
But that match was way better than I was expecting it to be. Just because I love Toru Yano is like maybe my favorite New Japan guy in general. I love what Chucky's been doing recently, but like that match on paper again, I was like, maybe not. But I also think that right now New Japan is using Zack Sabre better than he's ever been used in his entire career.
Yes.
Like skyrocketed.
They're using him properly too, in my opinion. I think they're using him just right.
Absolutely. I could never understand when he was supposed to be a babyface ever. Like he should never work as a babyface ever. Like everything about him so
Maybe
cocky
at the end of his career, when you're just you've been around so long and the people are so familiar with you that they just can't boo you anymore.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. And everyone was Toru Yano was so over. Everybody was just like loving it. It was awesome. It was really good to see that.
Yeah. He got face heat for being a coward.
Yeah.
It's good.
We have. Speaking of Zack Sabre Jr., I enjoyed their stuff. We talked about this with Jim that'll air in a little bit here, but Suzuki and Sabre Jr., I'm a fan of those guys together.
Suzuki's like the best in the world.
Yeah,
like,
I was comparing Suzuki to Fujiwara, Yoshiaki Fujiwara, and except for Fujiwara was always a babyface. So it's like the polar opposite, except for everything's the same.
Okay.
Well, not everything. I didn't mean to put it that way, but they're very, very similar.
Just as good as far as ability.
Yeah. So, and I thought Ishii, I thought all those guys did great. I like that. I like those, dropping guys on their heads is one thing. Like those stiff shots, to the side of the neck, those were fine. Those are just fine. Like we're not gonna kill each other with those. Yeah. But they were. I thought those back and forths with the stiff, elbows and even just the back and forth chops that never stopped. Like was it Dragon Lee? Is that his name?
Takahashi and Dragon Lee.
Yeah, all that stuff. And the P were going off on that. I thought maybe people should also pay attention to what happens in the matches before they go out there, because I saw a couple things, like, hey, they just did that, in the prior match or whatever. But okay. Anyways, I think we're out of time for this segment, aren't we?
We are.
All right. Well, we're gonna take a break real quick. We're gonna come back with JR. Hey,
Jim
X-Pac
Ross.
12360 fans, I just want to tell you 2 ways that you can support the show to help it grow. First, if you've ever wanted a shout out, a surprise message for various occasions from me, all you have to do is visit celebvm.com/Sean Waltman to request a video today. Not only does it support the show, but a portion of the proceeds go to charity. Second, to visit prowrestlingtees.com/Sean Waltman. That's the only place to grab shirts with the X-Pac 12360 logo, Wolfpack, or many other designs. If you pick up a shirt, make sure to tweet us using the hashtag X-Pac12360. That's celebvm.com/Sean Waltman for a personal message from me, X-Pac. And prowrestlingtees.com/Sean Waltman for X-Pac, Wolfpack, and X-Pac 12360 gear. Thanks for supporting the show. Now let's get back to it. Welcome back to X-Pac 12360, everyone. Joining us in studio right now, I'm honored to have him in studio. The greatest of all time, JR, Jim Ross. What's up,
I thought you
man?
were talking about Jimbo.
Yeah.
He's the greatest of all time.
Usually
I'm
there's
good.
a whole team in here to give a big round of
Yeah.
applause and all
There
that
for 'em.
shit. But
I
clap
am
for you.
good. As we record this, it's can I tell it's the day
Yeah, yeah.
after the New Japan show,
that's right.
the marathon of 4 hours and change, including commercial breaks.
Yeah.
Very ambitious, but real fun experience. So I'm a little. This should be an interesting show
Yeah.
because I have my filters kind of wore out.
Oh, that's how I like it. Mine's always worn out, Jim, as you all know. But hey, no, but I'm really thank you so much. Jim.
bet.
It
Glad to be
means
here.
a lot to me. We're not going to tell anyone you were already going to be here anyways.
But I know I'm glad to be on your show, and especially see your setup here.
Yeah.
Because I've been, as we were talking before on the air, I want to build a studio in my home for my new podcast and some audio and video elements as well.
Yeah.
So this has really given me some wonderful ideas on what I could make my office look like.
Yeah, I'm really, really blessed to have this studio to do the show in, and like all the team and all the resources that I have here at AfterBuzz TV. But you have a show. Your show has found a new home, and it's on Westwood One.
Yeah,
April 11th.
April 11th. We thought we would go down to New Orleans. I got my one-man show there. Slobberknocker Sessions is on Friday morning, April the 6th.
Yeah.
Getting in town, I think on Wednesday, and taking all the stuff in. So I thought, well, I would just gather all this information, have all these experiences, and then when I got back, I would do my first podcast with all that fresh in my mind, because it's kind of the biggest thing going is WrestleMania, what happens in it and around it, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're not involved in WrestleMania, somebody says, well, I'm a New Japan fan, I don't like any other wrestling. But well, why are they there? Why are their talents there to make a payday? So it is important to everybody. And that's the spot that everybody goes to. Vince has created an event that other wrestling promoters and businesses have utilized for massive paydays.
It's incredible. It's amazing. When WrestleMania was in Atlanta, the first time, I don't know how many years ago that was now, when Shawn Michaels was inducted in the Hall of Fame, there wasn't any of that yet. And I remember Kevin and Nash and I, we promoted like a WrestleMania party, and he still does it to this day.
Yeah, shenanigans.
And man, it's really taken off. There is just so much stuff going on WrestleMania weekend. You can't even count it all. But
Well,
you have something going on Friday, April 6th, right?
Yeah, my Friday morning at 10 a.m. we have our Slobberknocker sessions. The thing about it is that, it's hard to find an open slot in the schedule where it's not already, populated.
Sure.
So, but we're at the Hilton Garden Inn. It's next to there's an arena there that they're going to be having some live events across the street from a casino. For the price of admission, you get a free book. I'll sign the book, Q&A, photo ops, autographs. It's a fun thing for 100 people.
And everything, right, it's 100 people. That's it. And everything is included. There's no a la carte. It's just one price, and this is what you get, the whole ball of wax.
Yeah, you get all that stuff. And I think it's a good value. By having 100 people, you can give the fans who travel, some of them amazing distances, the respect that they deserve. And so, hey, I saw a thing on Twitter Sunday night. Somebody was roasting my Spaldings on an open fire about that I use the word respect too much.
Really?
Yeah. So I figured, well, this poor bastard's probably miserable. And probably nobody has ever really respected this dude, so I won't disrespect him by calling him out. But I felt badly for him, how anybody could get upset over the word respect. But nonetheless, I believe in respecting the fans, that everybody's going to get their questions answered, their photos taken, their stuff signed. And you know, Sean, how that stuff is. They bring things else. They bring other things for you to sign. Yeah. The WWE yearbook or an action figure, whatever. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. So ticketfly.com. Everybody's listening here that's interested. Tickets are still available, not many, at ticketfly.com.
And it's the, you know, you can go online and buy a autographed 8x10 of Jim Ross, or, you know, go on your website and buy, you know, all your products and that. But that live experience, like, it's how you make them feel when they're there. That's the most important thing.
I'm still a fan, Sean, as you well know, and if I want to make them feel like I would want to feel.
Yes, I'm happy you're here.
Yeah, it's really simple, and you got to be thankful for your audience and your fan base, whatever it may be. I certainly am. And then in the last year or so, with so many personal issues I've had to kind of get around and go get over as best I can, that fan base has been an amazing medicine for me. You know, freshly going to WrestleMania last year, you know, so soon after Jan got killed, and you know, Vince wanted me there, which is, you know, Vince is a pretty wise dude.
Absolutely.
You know, everybody actually bitch like those promoters, the WWE this, WWE that, all year. They shouldn't talk with their mouth full, because he's helping them make some money, and at those WrestleMania weekends and other shows. You notice now it's starting to bleed where the guys that do the stage shows and things like that, they're hitting, like I was doing for a good while, all the other lesser than WrestleMania pay-per-views. Right. So where there's a gathering of wrestling fans, I think guys that are making a living off the wrestling business are smart to take their show to where the audience is. That's really all you're doing, right?
But some of them are still burying Vince out of the other side of their mouth, though.
Oh yeah, well that's sure they will. Sure they will. So that's what we were talking before on the air. Somebody you asked me about talent, and I said, I had a little experience with him. I had to let him go, and I don't think he likes me very much, and I'm not going to go into all the details and names. It's irrelevant. But it was easier in that era for talents to get pissed off at me publicly than to get pissed off at Vince, because they knew that the Vince was the wrong bridge to burn.
Sure.
If you're not just a dumbass.
And Jim, obviously we have to have someone to blame besides ourselves.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, don't look in the mirror here, folks. Hey, I can tell you this on my book, Slobber Knocker, My Life in Wrestling, still doing great. We're really proud of it, and I'm proud I finished it for, you know, in spite of Jan passing away, so at the midst of it. But you know, it's a labor of love, man. This whole thing that we're doing, this wrestling thing that we do, that you do and I do, whether it be podcasting or stage shows or whatever, man, I can't get enough. And I really, Sean, in the last year, I don't need a telethon. Right. I don't need a fundraiser. I don't need to go fund JR. Nothing. That's silly. I'm being facetious, but it's just not there. But what I needed was people.
Yeah.
I needed to extend my arms and embrace more people, and only the people that were positive. So when you get to be my age, you're a crotchety old bastard anyway, you know. And some people think that my time has passed. And in their view, they may be right. Hell, I don't know. That's their opinion. I don't think that, but that's irrelevant. Yeah. But man, I can tell you that having that support mechanism of the wrestling fans, for me, it's been a lifesaver. And
when that happens, I think that a lot of people, their natural like instinct is to isolate.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I'm not sure if that was you.
I had moments of isolation, but I didn't like how I reacted in the isolation.
It's not a good.
It was not the options that I started going through were not good ones. So I just wanted to be busy, and I like, you know, I love my work. It's not really work to me. You know, the New Japan thing was a fun show. You know, it was long, it's challenging, you know, but I enjoyed the experience. It's new, and that crew that we work with, That was their third pro wrestling event I think they've done live.
Access TV.
Yeah, Access TV. And we do the voiceovers on once a month, and they show airs on Friday nights at 8/7 Central for Access. You were talking about watching it on the Sling app.
Yeah, I watch mine on the Sling TV thing.
I watched mine on DirecTV channel 340, but I'm having fun doing that show. And I know one thing: the fans are very passionate. I'm very passionate about helping build their brand that I think some of their diehards don't even have a clue about.
Sure.
But Access TV's done a great job in helping put that brand on the map.
Sometimes I think some of the diehards don't want it to be spread to a larger audience. They want to keep it to themselves.
You might be right.
I swear to God, it seems like that sometimes. It's like, no, this is our thing. Like,
yeah. Well, that's like, they look at some of those diehard folks, and I can get it. I understand where they're coming from. I'm not mad at them. That they're loyal to Kevin Kelly and Don Callis because they're the New Japan World guys. They're the guys that hear most often. They're the guys that have the opportunity to be there on site.
Sure.
So I understand that.
And they do a really good
They
job.
do a fine
Excellent
heck
job.
yeah, absolutely. But at the cost of gut and quartering Josh Barnett and me.
Yeah.
Really? Is that your axiom of the day? We're going to go on a mission. We're going to start a petition to make sure that Ross and Barnett don't call him more matches.
Is that really where they're directing their energy?
Oh yeah,
That's
right.
amazing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. Really, this is a high line item for you here today, right? How about paying your taxes or your quarterlies or being a better son, husband, father, whatever? So I don't know. It's fun. But I enjoyed the show.
Let's talk about that, about the show,
It was
Jim.
a good show. I thought I enjoyed it. Did you watch it? What did you think?
I enjoyed it from home.
Yeah, good.
I really did. I was mentioning to you, I thought that the first show they did in Long Beach in the smaller venue, it came like aesthetically didn't look as good, but like the atmosphere seemed livelier, more at a fever pitch because obviously the smaller buildings they hold the
Noise.
sound more.
Yep, you're right.
That was the only thing I noticed, and that's really like one of those things that I don't like. Boy, that's really nitpicky because it looked really good. I really enjoyed. I thought you guys did excellent on commentary.
Oh, thanks. Well, we tried. It's a tough thing. Here's what you have sometimes. You have matches, some matches, and this doesn't make them bad. So somebody's going to misinterpret this from the start. I guarantee you. Some matches don't have a common denominator. Some matches don't have a tent pole that you can build around.
Yeah.
And people, what does that mean? It means Matt Jackson's back was injured. It's been injured for a good while with their last go-around with the Show and Yo for the junior titles. But that was a tent pole.
Yeah.
That was a major facet of the main event was Matt Jackson battling through courageously a bad back. And so it had a theme. So, unfortunately, in the business today, I'm not just talking New Japan, but in the business today, so many matches are more about getting their elements in than the elements being connected and telling a story. They're just indiscriminate individual. You could pick these moves and put them anywhere in the match, and they'll mean the same. They're dynamic and you still got it, and nobody wins or loses from it.
Yeah. Yeah, when that happens, when it's done like that, you get the pop for the move, but then the heat, the reaction's not sustained.
No.
Like it goes back down to,
Goes
like
away. Yeah, it goes away. So
flatline.
It was hard. It was a challenging show to call from mainly just physical things. You're setting out there. Gosh, I don't know how long we were out there, but we were out there like 30 minutes or 45 minutes or hour before the show started.
Did you stay out there the whole time?
Yeah.
So remember what I asked you on your show last time I was on your show?
No bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
How'd
How'd that go this time?
Good. I just quit drinking water early in the afternoon, and got my dark suit on and a little bit of security.
A little, maybe a Gatorade jug?
Yeah, something.
A catheter?
And, a catheter. Yeah, right. I said the last thing's going to happen is I'm going to take my Johnson out in this crowd of people because I just keep thinking about Bobby Heenan. There's a joke here somewhere, that.
Right.
It's just how Heenan was. He'd find the most obscure thing and you'd catch you with it.
Sure.
He'd outsmart you. So But I enjoyed the shot. I did think the last match was good. I think the last match was could have been even better, and I'm sure it's going to be a match of the year candidate for a lot of discussion, as it should be.
Yeah.
I only dream of how good it would have been if it had been on earlier, so that
Sure.
the crowd had a little bit didn't get so fatigued.
Sure.
Can you imagine going to see a 4-hour movie? It would die a natural death on.
Well, back in the day, they would have to take an intermission in the middle of that movie, because even like not that long, like Godfather 3, there was an intermission in between.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
I just think the show is a little lengthy, but I enjoyed being a part of it. I enjoyed the matches. I love Suzuki stuff. Minoru Suzuki.
My God, I'm a huge fan of his.
And him and Ishii kind of like hit my spot there on that deal. And then I like Ospreay, the marriage, or Zack Sabre rather.
Sure.
And sometimes I get Ospreay and Sabre confused. I don't know why.
Although because their styles are polar opposites of each other.
They
right?
are. Well,
Yeah.
it's just that the fact that they're both Caucasian Brits.
Sure. Blonde.
Yeah, that's all there is. It's a visual thing. But I thought the Zack Sabre and Suzuki tag team was really fun to watch.
Really fun.
I'm a big fan of Okada. You know, he's so damn good. I think sometimes he might be taken a little bit for granted how good he really is, because he's had big time main event delivery against a variety of opponents with different skill sets at real high level matches, Sean.
Yeah.
And like I told him over a little tequila the other night that I thought that the way he and Naito delivered in the main event at Wrestle Kingdom, to follow everything on the card with nothing bad. You know what I mean? There's Lou there.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Damn it.
Never work with children and animals, but Lou's a human with 4 legs. But seriously, he's had great matches with all those guys, and that closing the show at Wrestle Kingdom, what was a 4.5, 5-hour show, whatever the hell it was, and they got them. They got the crowd at the end.
Sure.
And it's hard to do, as you well know. It's just hard to do. They're fatigued.
Yeah, because and plus, a lot of times the guys going out before you, they're going out and they're like, hey, I'm gonna get whatever I can out of this crowd, and whatever you guys come on after us, that's sorry, it's on you. Too bad. You know, there's some people can get real selfish early on in the card.
Absolutely, and I don't know how much move management there is. I noticed that there was the only table spot was done at the end.
Yes.
I love that. It made it mean more, right?
Yes, and I know, you know what I noticed just now that you're thinking about, not nearly as many dives outside the ring as I remember from last show.
Well, I think the guys the early part of the card did some dives and found the space limitations were somewhat hazardous to their health.
Yeah.
Because there were some tight fits there, without a question. But the one table use, and that was in a tag match, the main event, was good. It just was a card. It was an interesting card that some of the matches again had great individual things happen that you could do a great highlight reel from. You know, like a best of type deal. But sometimes I think that those kids would be better served to take a little out of that and put more into connecting all their story.
Sure.
So it makes sense at the end of the day. Because as it is, the finishes are all basically the same. Somebody misses something big, and the other guy hits something big.
Yeah.
And it's over.
And this is getting kind of like I'm really starting to overanalyze here a little bit, but man, they need to cover up on the false finishes quicker. Like sometimes, Jim. I know like this might be getting a little bit too inside baseball, but man, they're missing out on some good false finishes when they're not.
Yeah.
And I know you got to take your time, but certain times anyways.
Even guys going for a cover can awkwardly reach for the leg or try to restrain the leg or get in a better position for the pin and the guy kick out. That's part of the process. What would you do if it was real? Would you be trying to get off as soon as you found yourself in a pinning predicament and you were on bottom? If it were real, then you know that there's a 3-second shelf life here for us. We got to kick out. We got to get out of this predicament in 3 seconds or less, preferably less. And so there's a sense of urgency there. But I'm with you. I don't think sometimes in matches in general guys go for finishes early enough in matches, and I think when they do, because they are so early and it's not time to go home, they half-ass the cover and they go through
And they
the
still
motions.
kick out on 2.5.
Yeah, well, that's just laziness. That's not wanting to think.
Oh, not today. I guess not today. Match just started.
Yeah. It's just the guy's not wanting to think, I think, Sean, by and large. And
Yeah.
that's the one thing about the Young Bucks and Omega and Ibushi, and that is that they're willing to try new things. They're willing to add things to their toolbox, and they usually those things are not added just for the sensationalism of them, but they are a sensational way to add to the match.
Yeah, and to change things up and make things in wrestling get to be so routine looking sometimes.
Yep.
And that's a way to change. I agree with you 100% on that. The one thing I noticed about that match is like about 20 minutes in, I'm thinking, okay, they're settling in here. This is going to be a long one. And I didn't realize, like, I thought it was a half an hour time limit, but they changed it. Yeah.
They changed it in the afternoon to 60 minutes. And I'm thinking, because you don't know what's going on. And really that's a blessing for me. I don't get offended because I don't know the inside of the show, the inside dirt.
Sure.
I don't care. And I encourage them, don't tell me nothing. I don't need to know anything. If it was what was an MMA fight? What was a boxing event? What was a football game?
Yeah. Hey, Jim, so I'm sure you've talked about this on more than one occasion, but the difference between doing the play-by-play for New Japan and doing it for WWE.
Well, the thing about doing it for WWE is that you have every whistle and bell, every amenity, everything that you could possibly ever need to make your job better and to be and have a better chance at success in that respect. I've never worked with a better group of guys than I work with at Access TV. Guys that you would want to always keep in touch with, kind of guys, and be around. Good people, but it's a limited budget. They're not spending the money on the TV side. That's not their expertise. They do a great MMA show, about 40 of them live a year, or maybe more, on Friday nights around the wrestling show. So,
do you have anyone in your ear telling you
No.
things like you do for Vince?
I have Danny Zach is our producer, and he's one of the hardest working guys I've been around, and he counts me in and he counts me out. So we know he counts me in from breaks and then out to the break, and then that's it. Now, if I mispronounce a name, which happens, he'll mark it down. They'll go back and do what they call a wild line and fix it.
Yeah.
But he's not telling me that's a headlock or this is this. Now I have plenty of notes. I have a little inner circle of guys that help me with notes on New Japan that are really good. They live it.
Sure.
And
like backstories and things like that of the
yeah.
different guys.
and
Who impresses you the most? Like, I know I'm jumping around here a little bit. Who impresses you most on New Japan roster? Japanese guys.
Japanese
that you saw,
guys?
yeah.
Well, Okada's my guy because
Yeah.
I just think he's anytime you get a 6'3", 30-year-old kid that's got great looks and the charisma's natural, organic, that's a big thing there. They got several guys I like. I like Goto. And I'll tell you why I like Goto. And I mentioned this on the air, and that's another gut and quarter. Here's shows you how unobjective people are. I compared Goto to Bret Hart.
That's right.
Because I felt like Goto was underappreciated, like Bret was at times. He was extremely fundamentally sound always. Bret's always that way. So I looked at it as a compliment, but then some people took me to task on it. But I like Goto. I
got that comparison immediately as soon as you said it.
I like Minoru Suzuki. Reminds me of one of the great villains ever.
Yeah.
I've said on TV, I think he could be a great Bond villain. His facials are about as good as I've ever seen.
He's amazing. And just the fact that he's he's in what people would consider the twilight of his career.
Yeah, he's 40.
Yeah, he's 50, or 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know Fujiwara. Do you remember him?
Yep.
Suzuki reminds me of a heel version of Fujiwara.
Wow.
Yeah, Fujiwara was amazing.
Well,
anyways.
he's had some good matches. He sells just enough. He doesn't not sell. He doesn't do the no sell. Now he'll do some things where he'll no sell, but like getting chopped or something like that, you know. But his intensity is amazing. His manipulation for submissions, it's just it's awe-inspiring how good he is.
And we were talking about Yano earlier.
Yeah.
And he was in that tag match with Killer Elite Squad, and like those guys, you know, Lance and Harry Davey Boy Jr. They take themselves really seriously, and I was pleasantly surprised that they worked that well with
they did a good
Yano's
job.
stuff.
Well, here, you know, they're smart enough to see that Yano was over.
Yeah.
Yano was probably the most over guy to that crowd on Sunday night as anybody in that match.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
And he knew what to do in there, and he was doing it.
And he less is more,
Yep.
right? And everything he did had some significance. So that was all well placed. But I compared Harry Davey Jr.
Yeah.
as you said, and Big O Archer to Brody and Hanson back when they were young and full of piss and vinegar, because they just have that bigger than life personality that you just don't want to really cross these two dudes.
No.
I get this pro wrestling, I get that, but still, I don't want to walk into the Ribera Steakhouse and call them out.
Yeah, and honestly, like Harry, I'm not sure why he's not just doing MMA. That guy's an animal.
Freaky. And Josh,
Yeah.
You know, Josh Barnett does such a great job on this product. Takes it like me, maybe too personally sometimes. You know, you want to do good, you want to please everybody, and you want everybody to like your work, and you know. But it's not. And in the old days, it was more that way.
Sure.
Now everybody's got a voice. If you got social media, your voice is just as loud as anybody else's. It's still X number of characters, and you do your thing and whatever. But it's a different world. But I've got a lot of respect for Josh and the way we work together. He knows that lay of the land well. He's worked for the company.
And Josh is a great ambassador for professional wrestling. Somebody that's one of the baddest guys in the world.
Yeah.
And still, to me, one of the top heavyweights in MMA today.
He's probably going to go back now. He got that USADA thing, where the hell that debacle was done, is behind him.
They've hurt the sport so much, in my opinion.
Well,
but that's a whole other ball game.
I'll tell you, man. Since and I'm a UFC fan.
Yeah.
I really am. I love MMA. Just by what I read, and I'm an outsider looking in, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
It seems to me that their roster many of the men and women on their roster are miserable. There's very little brand loyalty, and so it tells me how bad apparently things are. Because if you're a fighter, and that's what you want to do for a living, then you know at some point you got to earn some money at USC to get over the hump, right?
Exactly.
So and it just doesn't seem, something's not quite stirring the Kool-Aid there right now. And you see the fact that they were not ready for Rousey to leave, or Lesnar to leave, or GSP to leave, or Conor McGregor to take a sabbatical. They got nobody to back it up. It's like the territory days.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with the junkyard dog leaves, cowboy?
Go get the snowman.
Yeah, all right. We had the guy too, the territory. We didn't got anybody. Butch Reed was the guy.
Right.
So
No,
anyway,
I just remember
another story.
Bill did try a lot of different things there.
Hey, one day at the Hilton, at the Holiday Inn Airport in Shreveport, Bill's stepson Joel came in because we were going to meet Brickhouse Brown. That was another one of the experiments, right? So Ernie booked Brickhouse. Ernie Ladd.
Ernie liked Brickhouse. He put him over on Mid-Atlantic TV one time.
Ernie liked Brickhouse.
Yeah.
And, you know, a brother helping a brother.
Sure.
I get it. Nothing wrong with that. And so, but nobody knew Brickhouse's real name. So I don't know how, I knew he got a ticket, or unless he drove. He may have driven from Memphis to Shreveport. I don't know that. So anyway, nobody knew his name. And the booker didn't know his name. The owner got really pissed off. So I'm sitting over here out of the fray, right? Because I ain't got nothing to do with this particular piece of business. So then Joel comes in. Cowboys enraged. So Joel gets
Joel Watts, Cowboys' son.
Yeah, stepson. A great video guy. Just a good kid, good guy. He walks in, wrong place, wrong time. Bill's angry at the world. Go get me effing Brick House. Go find Brick House. Like he's supposed to know where he is, right? But we don't. He's not registered as Brick House Brown at the Holiday Inn. He's registered in his real name that nobody knows. So anyway, we're sitting there booking meeting. Everything's kind of calmed down. And so all of a sudden on the PA we hear, paging Mr. Brickhouse Brown. Mr. Brickhouse Brown, will you please report to the front desk? So me being a perennial wise ass thought that was really funny. And I started laughing. Yeah. And then of course I got my ass chewed. You know, what are you laughing? We're trying to draw money here. You know, you're not going to make any money. We're not going to sell any tickets. Well, you know, it's Cowboy. So we finally found, and his name was Fred Seawright.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Fred Seawright is, and I'll never forget that because of the paging Mr. Brickhouse Brown. Can you imagine being in the Holiday Inn, the restaurant, and you hear the page? There's somebody here named Brickhouse Brown, honey. So that was crazy times, man. But it just set Bill off again, so it was always fun.
I don't know how we got off on talking about Bill Watts.
It's a good story, though.
Yeah. Hey, Jimbo, you want to hop in here real quick?
Well, knowing with your wife's passing and everything going on, I was curious, have you had any like supernatural situations where you feel like she's talking to you, or you see a sign or something happens where you're like, my wife is still with me?
I thought I heard her voice. I've heard her voice once, I think. And I woke up from a very strong dream, and I thought she was talking to me. That's what woke me up. The other thing is I got these chimes that I hung on my patio. And the person that gave me the chimes said that when you hear them, that's going to be her talking to you. So and you don't hear them all the time. It's the funny thing about it, even as windy as Oklahoma is, you know, the wind comes sweeping down the plain type thing. They don't chime us to go off all the time, but they do sometimes. And I just believe that it's some kind of communication. Now,
sure.
Yes. Now some atheists are going to say, what's that old bastard talking about? Because there ain't no hereafter. So I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either. My experiences in life lead me to believe something totally different.
So,
like, I'm not going to say, hey, you shouldn't believe. I mean,
yeah, me neither.
But hey, I have a different way of looking at things from my life experiences.
So I think I've heard her voice, Jimbo, a time or two. And I can tell you that from one of my own little things I do is when I leave the house, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'll be back in 30 minutes, go to the cleaners, bank, whatever, my normal honeydews that she used to do, that I do now. I always leave the TV on because I like to pull up in the garage and get ready to go through my garage into my laundry room, into my house. I hear noise. And it reminds me of her there talking on the phone, because she talked on the phone all the time. Sisters, friends, relatives, family. That was her. Anybody in need, anybody that had a problem, she was on the phone. She just felt that their problem became hers as she tagged in. So I leave the TV on a lot. And then my mother was alive. She'd probably be raising hell because I'm wasting electricity. But little things like that, you know.
What did she say to you when you heard her voice?
She was calling my name, and I didn't know what that meant, so.
I remember, Jim. I remember like it was yesterday. We were in the UK for a pay-per-view, and that was when your mom passed away.
Yeah. Isn't it funny the business is tied in our lives to so many personal things?
Yeah.
You know, my dad died the night the Road Warriors returned to the Manhattan Center. Crazy, right? My mom died at 64 when we went to the UK, that UK only pay-per-view.
And you stayed. You know, I remember you stayed. You did what you had to do, and it was.
I got Bell's palsy again that night.
That's right. That's right. And I remember, Jim, and I felt like such an asshole because we were on the flight home, and there was something wrong with my you know, I was pissed because I didn't have the right seat or something, or you know, travel didn't do this or that for me. And man, I came up and I started bitching at you, and you just like, you know, you just kind of pacified me, and I walked away and I started thinking, what an asshole I am. His mom just passed away, and I'm here bitching about my airplane seat.
Well, hey, we've all done that, Sean. I didn't take it personally, obviously, you know that.
I know you didn't, but man, that
yeah.
sucked.
Well, I still got my job to do, and you're
Yeah.
still a talent, and you have an issue, you had an issue, and I want to make sure that I could at least address it or figure out what happened.
Yeah.
It's funny, getting, I was the EVP of talent, and I got blamed for not you, but guys having a middle seat.
Mm-hmm.
The last I looked, when you get your ticket issued, you can manage your own account.
Yeah.
You can pick out your own seat. If you just use your head, pull out of your ass, it's a really cool thing, and go online and pick out your seat.
Yeah.
So, that's how that works. But I tried to solve as many problems. You want to solve them quickly too.
Yeah.
No one will linger.
And I was listening to you talk about me asking you if you paid by the pound
Yeah.
on Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
And you
True
mentioned,
story.
yeah, it is a true story. And you would, I complained. I think about 3 times total to you, and each time you threw me I remember it was $5,000. That was like that must have been the magic number to shut somebody up back then, was $5,000, because you would throw extra $5,000 on my check. Except for the one time, it was Scott, Kevin, and I versus Hulk and Hunter. It was like a handicap match at Meadowlands. Huge house, biggest house they ever had there, live gate. And I got my check, and my friend, we always told each other what we got, and so they were like, "Hey, we got $8,000. What'd you get?" And I got they got $12,000, and I was like, "Well, I only got 4." Oh my God, I was so pissed. I called you, Jim, and we had a discussion about it, and I wasn't even wanting, the same amount as them. I just thought I deserved more. I got a check for $8,000, man. I never forgot that. And you said this to Edge and Christian. You said, and because of that, he's intensely loyal to me, and I am, Jim.
Right. Yeah, good.
100%.
Well, that's what the business was always about, that loyalty, taking care of, and the thing about guys in wrestling administration, they're generally former wrestlers.
Yeah.
In some form, and they generally have ego issues where they don't want to admit they made a mistake. Look, when you're cutting up thousands of dollars in discretionary money, people need to understand what discretionary money is. It's, there's no exact formula on discretionary money that you can make a mistake. And I'm human. I handled a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that got very wealthy on our payroll during my time.
I did well. One time, I probably mentioned this on something.
You had some 7-figure years there, didn't you?
I did. I had a few, yes. And one time, you called me up and took some time out to call me up and tell me, look, you're going to be running into a substantial amount of money here coming up, and I really want you to, maybe think about, getting some financial planning and make sure this is all, taken care of. That meant a lot to me, man. Meant a lot to me, and I did. That doesn't mean I have any of that money left.
It's good.
But
but look, wouldn't you say that if there's any young wrestlers that listen to your show, and I'm sure a lot of them do, and as they should, good tutorial, good information, always. Everybody should have a plan, man.
Yeah.
If nothing else, figure this out. You're an independent contractor. You don't get withholdings. You get a 1099 to pay your taxes. Therefore, by getting a 1099, you are obligated to pay your tax contribution quarterly. And they're called estimates, but you can base them on last year's income, but you got to pay something. And I've had guys that, that just, well, I just didn't file. Well, that's
worse.
That's worse.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's worse? Well, it means you're trying to embezzle money. You're not fessing up the fact you owe the money. If you file, you say, look, I know I owe the money, I just don't have it right now. Yeah. Can you work with me? Sure. Yeah. They'll work with you. But you got to have a plan, and that's the thing about that deal is that, I tell guys all the time, there's no reason with some of these dudes right now in WWE, if they stay, now the system like it is, a good 10 years of regular booking, you should be able to make enough money to live comfortably.
Sure. Yeah.
10 good years of bookings, where you're in the pipeline, you're getting action figures and shirts and merch,
And if you make it through those 10 years, you should have a name built up enough that you can keep on making a living off of wrestling
Absolutely.
forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, Vince told me one time about the network that, because he and I were really big on buying libraries back in the day, because we had a vision of what that could be, because both of us were familiar with the fact that those big old tapes a lot of them were not recycled. They tape over them.
Yeah.
So where you could find first generation tapes, grab those things because they're like gold. And so they've done that. And so he told me one time, he said, JR, that crazy idea that we had about the WWE network is going to make you immortal. I said, well, what do you mean? I for some reason I thought of Hogan. And because he is immortal, I ain't. But he said, well, your work's going to live forever. Then I got to thinking about it the other day.
True.
He owns everything I've ever done. He owns Mid-South. He owns Crockett, and Turner, and of course, and Smoky Mountain.
That's right, yeah.
Owns it all, which I got no problem with, because that way I know it'll have a home.
It'll be curated nicely.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And guys that, it's just, I guess get...
But how about the guys that are like, hey, where's my cut? Like, guys, their stuff is on the network. And I understand where they might think that. But, like, okay, so every quarter do you want your $2?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, be happy that I know some people aren't going to be happy with the way I'm saying this, but should be grateful that there's a place where people can go watch you wrestle, like watch your stuff.
Yeah, and it keeps you, it makes you also able to market yourself.
Exactly.
Like at Comic Cons or Wrestle Cons or whatever. I'm going to do an access appearance on Saturday at WrestleMania weekend for WWE. I know you're going to be down there doing some stuff. I'm doing mine.
I'll be at WrestleCon
10 to noon, and WrestleCon I'm going to be there on that Saturday from 1 to 3. I enjoy going to those events because it's one of those deals, Sean, where I, at this stage of my life, really enjoy catching up with people.
Yeah.
Seeing them. Especially those that have kids that I knew when the kids were little, and now they're not so little. Just stuff like that, normal stuff, family things. So I have a great time at WrestleMania with all the activities, and I'm hoping I don't know, but you hope that I'd like to get a cup of coffee for a match on Sunday.
Oh yeah, you'll be on something.
Well, it's a huge
100%. Yeah.
I mean, you think that there's so much material to produce that maybe they could find a spot, and
I think so.
So I hope so. That's not a. Well, he's sure looking for another payday. It's not a payday. It's not about the payday.
Exactly. Right.
It's about being on a card at WrestleMania, man.
And being included and being part of the deal.
That was the coolest thing in the world. Me coming to work for Vince in '93. My first live event was WrestleMania 9, and that's a hell of a way to break in.
I came in the next day.
Did you really?
Yeah, in Phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah.
Yeah, I had a tryout match with Louis Spicolli.
Wow.
Yeah, we killed it. I was so grateful I had Louis as my opponent.
Louis was a underrated guy. Pretty good hand.
Yeah.
Radford.
Yeah.
I didn't like that name much.
I didn't either.
Shawn Michaels, God, Shawn could be so honoring, man. I remember right after Louis got that name, Radford.
Yeah.
Shawn was going through. I'm changing my name to Mike Michaels. No, Shawn Shawners. So he had about a zillion just driving Louis crazy because Louis think, that's bad, isn't it? No, if they call me Mike Michaels, I wouldn't mind. Don't you just call me that, Mike Michaels? Just hear it.
Oh man, Jim, it's 40. We're 42 minutes in, and I think I could keep talking to you forever and ever. But
let's do it. Let's save it for. I want you to come to my new show. Remember, podcast 1 is no longer for me, and I am excited about Westwood One. There's a lot of they're owned by Cumulus. They got over 400 radio stations. Westwood One is a major player in the sports world, and I always had a desire to try my hand in a mainstream sport, either as an analyst or a contributor or something.
Yeah.
I love radio. The Cumulus company's huge and successful, and I met the folks that we're working with are just sweethearts.
Yeah.
And boy,
And they really want to put wind behind our sails. Like, I mean, there's so many things that that I, like, okay, commercials are going to put on.
Yeah, I'm going to do.
It's just going to be great.
They're hustling some really good sponsors for me. Like I said, we're going to be able to do updates in the week on some late breaking news. I can break in with another piece of audio. We're going to perfect a video component with it as well, much like your situation here. So I want to be more influenced with fan participation. So it could be a question of the week or this, some things like that, to where the audience that listen to us actually see that their contributions are making air.
Yep.
So and by being at home and not having to get in my truck and drive to another place, I think I'll be a lot more creative. It's just I'm there. It's my comfort zone.
Sure.
So why wouldn't you want to do it in your comfort zone? That's where you're happiest.
Yeah. Are you how do you feel like about your traveling schedule right now? Do you think you have a pretty good balance? Would you like to travel more or less?
Well, I think it's pretty good balance. We got we're going to go to the UK at the end of June for a week, I think, or 10 days. Dates getting finalized on that. I got a couple other pretty significant trips coming up. Yeah. And then, of course, the WrestleMania thing's big. And we got the King and I are going to do some shows this year. We've been talking about doing that. We get older and older. And while we still aren't, neither of us are an adult depends, and we can still put sentences together, I think it's important that we share our experiences to an audience that understands, what we did, what we contributed, who we were in that era. So JR and the King are going to do some traveling shows, and we're going to start those in the next few months. And we got some big plans for that too. So I just think those Q&As about the Attitude Era and our experiences together will be, I don't think you will be able to replicate it, because we're the guys that had that experience. Sure. It was about us. Yeah. So, it's always fun, and that was a hell of a time, man, to be in the business. Everybody made some money, and it blew up, and the company went public, and everything got rolling, man. Yeah. That roster, that Attitude Era roster that we all contributed to, was major foundation building blocks for WWE as it's known today corporately.
Sure. Yeah.
It's good stuff. So I'm happy with all that. So it's going to be fun, man.
One thing real quick I wanted, and it's just made me think of this, it was the whole Attitude Era thing, and how the products evolved, and I think that's a good thing that it's evolved.
Sure, me too.
Okay, all the corporate sponsors that are able to have relationships with, all kinds of things. But the behind the scenes, the lifestyle of the wrestlers has changed, Jim, and I'm so grateful for that.
Me too.
And there's a mentality, like, the outlaw spirit maybe isn't quite there anymore, and that was a big, I think, thing that was attractive about wrestling. But I'll take it. I've said this a bunch of times. I'll take my friends being alive over that any day. And there are certain things that were accepted in our wrestling culture that I just needed to die.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. No, it's the fact that WWE's making money. A lot of that's passed on. Obviously, so much that's passed on to the talent in the form of pay, but also in the form of care.
Yes.
I don't know how many rehabs they sent people through, but it's got to be the millions of
I've been
dollars.
to 3.
And they're not cheap, right?
No.
And so they keep helping people, which is so admirable. So the care that the guys and the women are getting is amazing. I like the fact that the corporate side of being more objective as far as hiring talent. I know a lot of old school guys are not crazy about so many women being around. I love it. I think it's great, and especially the fact that they just don't have any women on that roster. They got some studs. Excuse the pun. But they got some damn hellacious.
They're badasses, and they're every bit as much a badass as the guys.
Hey, I'm as excited to see Charlotte and Asuka wrestle at WrestleMania as any other match on the card. But I would tell you, if I'm going to book that card, I know what the close will be. The closing match.
What?
Taker and Cena close the show. I wouldn't have one of those big title matches close the show, because then you'd take a precedent. Which title match is more important than the other?
I think that match. I think that match would be just fine. I think that'll be a good match if it happens.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So, a great
People
story. The story will be well told, I'm sure.
And Jim, one last thing. I knew that wasn't Taker's last match at WrestleMania last year. I just knew it. I knew it. And everyone was saying, "Oh yeah, oh yeah."
Well,
no way.
Here's the thing. I said this before, and I'll close with this deal. Until Taker tells you he's retired, he ain't retired. He can retire when he wants. It's not a committee decision. It's his decision. And Vince is going to honor and respect Mark's decision no matter what it is. But when Mark Calloway says, "I'm done," then take that to the bank. But until he says that, he ain't done. And he's not done. And I think that, how many more he's got, who the hell knows, man?
Sure.
Who the hell knows? But I just know that if it's him and Cena, the storytelling, the Shakespeare should be really good.
Yeah. They were counting Mark out. They were saying, "Oh, he's only got a few years left." When I first got there, 93.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not, whatever.
I'll tell you, of all the great guys we've known in WWE, and I can't speak for you, but somebody asked this the other day, he's the greatest star that the company has ever developed and promoted.
Absolutely.
There's nobody ever been bigger, more influential, more tenured. He's worked in main events, closing shows around the globe when all that global expansion started getting big.
Right.
He was the big dog in the yard, man.
And when Mark, he was the guy that we were all counting on, to show up and work the main events, and things were tough for us.
Yeah.
Business was tough, and he had cracked ribs and a crushed orbital socket, and he still made the towns because we needed him.
Yeah, he's a man's
Never
man.
forget that.
He's John Wayne, man.
Yep.
He's John Wayne, no doubt about it. So it'll be good. See, and that's why both of you and I both embraced the WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah.
And I can tell you one thing: if I was a little fat kid in Oklahoma and I had a chance to go down to WrestleMania weekend as a kid, as a fan, I'd have got there somehow, some way. I got to pull this off.
Whatever it took. Exactly. Yeah. Anyways, love you, Jim.
You too, buddy. Thanks for having me on. You're killing it, and I'm proud of you.
Thanks. All right, we'll be right back here on X-Pac 12360. Welcome back to the show. I want to thank Jim Ross. Everyone calls him JR, but I've always just called him Jim forever. I don't think I've ever called him JR once. Maybe, but anyways.
You just did now.
Yeah. But I think the world of Jim, and I think he does me too. That's why.
Yeah, you guys definitely have a really close bond.
Yeah, sorry.
It was awesome to hear like little things about the short pay out, and then you going to him and him giving you more than you thought.
Sure.
Deserved, kind of. You just wanted something. You didn't want as much as everyone else, but he made a point.
Well, I didn't think I necessarily deserved the same payoff as Scott and Kevin, but not that much less, not $8,000 less. So, I mean, he straightened it out, and I got I wasn't expecting $8,000 in the mail, but I got it.
Well, it's just a life lesson. Treat people well, and they'll be loyal to you, and it all comes back around.
Sure.
So.
Yep. Anyways, always love talking to Jim. I've been on his show a bunch of times. So, and then when he, I don't know, people that just listen and watch that, they might think, God, they didn't talk about this or this or this, but everyone else talks to JR about those things. And you can go and listen to JR on Edge's podcast. Maybe this is silly for me to point people in the direction of other people's podcasts, but seriously, there's some really good ones out there that Jim has been on, and you can go listen to those conversations too. Mine's a little bit different with him. Yeah. So, anyways, what's going on, Jimbo?
Well, if you want to share your thoughts about the Jim episode, be sure to tweet, post anywhere on any social media. Use the hashtag XPac12360. Also, Sean tonight will be at the Comedy Store doing the Store Horseman podcast. If you're in LA, come check that out.
Sunset Boulevard, West Hollywood.
And then we got WrestleMania coming up, also with WrestleCon at WrestleMania Access Saturday at 9 a.m. Sean will be signing, and then he will be at WrestleCon for That Wrestling Club all 3 days with Al Snow, Kevin Nash, and Mean Gene Okerlund. Come check it out.
Yeah. All right.
Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo in the Booth.
That's that.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo. Come chat with me because I'm lonely. I don't know why I said that. That's weird.
Hook you up with Virgil.
Your DMs
No,
are
not that kind of lonely. I didn't mean
take you
that
to Olive
lonely.
Garden.
This is bad.
Breadsticks,
I'm
meat
on-
sauce.
I'm on all social media at Cinema Hotel. Check out withspandex.com, uproxx.com/sports, and uproxx.com/pro wrestling, because today we posted a new episode of our McMansplaining with Spandex podcast with an almost hour-long conversation with the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan. We talk about WCW, Fabulous Moolah, Battle Royal.
Fascinating. Kevin Sullivan is always
He's
fascinating to
incredible,
talk to.
and it's just like we're gonna do at least one more part talking to
bet.
him at the next PCW Ultra show as well. He's helping out with that promotion, and it really shows.
Yeah.
Given what they're doing.
I had a talk with
booking-wise.
them. They actually reached out to me. There's going to be some news coming up in the
Hell
near
yeah!
future about.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah! All right, well, go check that out, everybody.
Yeah. Also, I didn't see much of it, but I saw a few clips of some stuff you did with Liger over the weekend. That looked really cool.
Thank
What's
you
up
for
with the dog?
reminding me. Yes, so we had Jushin Thunder Liger in the Uproxx offices, and it was incredible. And we played table tennis with him, and you can see that video at withspandex.com. And he got to play with a famous Instagram corgi named Tofu, who has eyebrows. And Liger he loved that dog so much.
Yeah.
Check out Mr. Brandon Stroud's Twitter for more on that. And check out the With Spandex Instagram story to see more of Jushin Thunder Liger playing with a dog, which everybody needs in their life. And you know what, guys?
Lula is much greater than
Yes.
Tofu. I
That
must
is
say.
true. No, we all agree.
Yes.
But Liger loved Tofu. And if I could just make one request, is that people stop taking the picture of Liger with a corgi and cropping the word Uproxx out of it and posting it and making shirts out of it. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, of course that's what's going on. TK, what's
Gotta
up?
love it.
These dogs are coming up. All right, you can follow us on Twitter at The Real X-Pac, IG, X-Pac12360, Facebook, X-Pac12360 Show. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter if you haven't. iTunes, leave comments on YouTube, all that good stuff. Other than that, you can find me on everything at TK Trinidad.
And also sign up for the Newsletter. Oh wait a minute. We'll see you right here next week on After. I just screwed that up. We'll see you here next week on X-Pac 12360, AfterBuzz TV, Westwood One, and the Jericho Network. Yeah.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark Donica, Jimbo Frank, and TK Trinidad, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at TheRealXpac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.